Welcome to an exploration of externalities, a cornerstone concept in the field of economics. Externalities represent those often overlooked costs and benefits that arise from various economic activities. They are a fundamental aspect of how markets function, or sometimes, how they fail to function optimally. These effects impact individuals and society who are not directly involved in the original economic transaction. They are frequently referred to as spillover effects because their influence extends beyond the immediate parties engaged in production or consumption. Understanding these spillovers is crucial for a comprehensive view of economic impact. Externalities create a significant divergence between private costs or benefits and the broader social costs or benefits. This means that the price paid or received in a market transaction does not always reflect the true overall cost or value to society. This discrepancy is central to their economic importance. Recognizing and analyzing externalities is vital for designing effective public policies. Such policies aim to correct these market imperfections and promote overall social welfare. By addressing externalities, we can move towards a more efficient and equitable allocation of resources. Negative externalities occur when an economic activity imposes costs on third parties who are not directly involved in that activity. These costs are not reflected in the market price of the good or service being produced or consumed. They represent a burden shifted onto others. The defining characteristic is that these costs are borne by those who did not consent to them and receive no compensation. This creates an imbalance where the private cost of an action is less than its true social cost. Such situations often lead to inefficient outcomes. Consider the classic example of pollution from a factory. The factory benefits from its production, generating revenue and profits. However, its emissions might harm the health of nearby residents, leading to increased medical expenses and reduced quality of life. Furthermore, this pollution can damage the local environment, affecting ecosystems and potentially reducing property values in the surrounding area. These are real costs, but they are external to the factory's balance sheet and the price of its products. Other common examples include noise pollution emanating from airports or industrial zones. The convenience of air travel or industrial production comes at a cost to those living nearby, experiencing disrupted sleep and reduced peace. Traffic congestion is another pervasive negative externality. Each additional driver contributes to slower travel times for everyone else, a cost not factored into their individual decision to drive. The depletion of shared resources, such as overfishing in common waters, also exemplifies a negative externality. Individual fishers benefit from their catch, but their actions collectively reduce the stock for everyone, including future generations. This leads to a tragedy of the commons. Negative externalities are a prime example of market failure. The market price of a good or service generating these externalities does not reflect its true social cost. Consequently, the good or service tends to be overproduced and overconsumed from a societal perspective. In contrast to negative externalities, positive externalities generate benefits for third parties. These are individuals or groups who are not directly involved in the economic transaction but still reap advantages from it. These benefits are often uncompensated. The key feature here is that these benefits accrue to those who did not pay for them. The private benefit of an action is less than its true social benefit. This leads to a situation where the market underprovides these beneficial activities. A compelling example is the development of a new technology. The company that invents and sells this technology benefits from its sales and intellectual property. However, society as a whole often benefits far more broadly. This new technology can lead to increased productivity across various industries, fostering economic growth. It might also contribute to improved healthcare outcomes or enhance global communication, creating widespread societal advantages. These benefits extend far beyond the initial transaction. Education is another excellent illustration of a positive externality. An individual pursuing higher education primarily benefits themselves through increased earning potential and personal development. However, society also benefits significantly. A more educated populace leads to a more informed citizenry, capable of making better civic decisions. It also contributes to a more skilled workforce, driving innovation and economic competitiveness for the entire nation. These are collective gains. Vaccinations provide a clear public health example. The vaccinated individual is protected from disease, which is a direct private benefit. Crucially, by reducing the likelihood of transmission, vaccinations also protect the wider community, especially those who cannot be vaccinated. This, herd immunity, is a significant positive externality. Like their negative counterparts, positive externalities also lead to market failure. Because the market price does not fully capture the extensive social benefits, activities generating positive externalities tend to be underproduced and underconsumed. The market fails to provide the socially optimal amount. Given that externalities lead to market failures, government intervention is often necessary to correct these inefficiencies. The goal of such intervention is to align private incentives with social welfare. Various policy tools are employed to achieve this. One common tool is the imposition of taxes on activities that generate negative externalities. These are often called Pigouvian taxes. For instance, carbon taxes are levied on industries that emit greenhouse gases. These taxes internalize the external cost, forcing producers to pay for the social harm their activities cause. This encourages them to reduce pollution or find cleaner production methods, thereby moving towards a more socially optimal output. Conversely, subsidies are provided for activities that generate positive externalities. Governments might offer funding for education, research and development, or public health campaigns. These financial incentives aim to increase the production and consumption of beneficial goods and services. By lowering the private cost or increasing the private benefit, subsidies encourage more of these socially desirable activities. This helps to overcome the market's tendency to underproduce them. Regulations are another direct approach to managing externalities. These involve setting specific standards and rules that economic actors must follow. Emission standards for vehicles, for example, directly limit the amount of pollutants cars can release. Zoning laws are also a form of regulation, separating polluting industries from residential areas to mitigate their negative impacts. Regulations directly control the level of externalities, ensuring compliance with societal standards. Finally, clearly defining and enforcing property rights can also help address externalities. If individuals or communities have clear rights to clean air or water, they can sue polluters for damages. This legal recourse internalizes the costs of negative externalities. The ability to seek compensation makes polluters accountable for the harm they cause. This incentivizes them to reduce their polluting activities to avoid legal penalties and financial liabilities. Externalities highlight the complex and often hidden interplay between individual economic activities and overall societal well-being. They demonstrate that the consequences of production and consumption extend far beyond the immediate transaction. Understanding these spillover effects is fundamental to economic analysis. Recognizing and effectively addressing these hidden costs and benefits is a primary goal for policymakers. By implementing appropriate taxes, subsidies, regulations, and property rights, governments strive to correct market failures. This leads to a more efficient allocation of resources. Ultimately, the aim is to create a more equitable economy that promotes sustainable growth and improves the overall quality of life for everyone. By internalizing external costs and encouraging external benefits, societies can move closer to achieving their collective welfare goals.